If you are currently applying for design jobs, if you're going into interviews and looking to get hired, if you do these 3 things that we're gonna talk about in this video, you will nail your interview every single time, I guarantee it. The first thing that will help you stand out from the crowd and be head and shoulders above the rest is actually a 2-parter, and it goes like this. Talk through your work confidently, focusing on problems and solutions. I'm gonna break that down, starting with the problem and solution piece. You would think heading into a design interview, you're gonna talk about fonts, you're gonna talk about color palettes, you're gonna talk about your favorite typography and your favorite designer. Could not be further from the truth. You're there to talk about problems and solutions that you, using the vehicle of design, know how to solve actual problems. And so don't focus so much on all the visual design lingo. Focus more on the problems that you solve and how you solve those problems. What are your methods? What are your systems? What are your processes and your understanding for solving problems like that? If you can demonstrate some serious problems and how you've actually solved them, you are going to be head and shoulders above the rest, I promise you. To do that, you're gonna need to do the first piece, which is talk confidently through your work. So this means if you're not used to talking through your work or talking about your work, and while talking, focusing on problems and solutions, you need to practice. That means create a case study, maybe, or some sort of slide deck where you present the work, focusing on problems and solutions, and practice talking through it. Here's the problem. Here's how we solved it. Here's what was interesting. Here was the challenge. Get used to doing this over and over and over. I recommend filming yourself with a phone or a camera or your webcam on your laptop. Film yourself talking through this work so that you're succinct, that you're confident, that you can flow through the project and really give an overarching narrative of those problems and those solutions. And then take that film and give it to a friend or a family member or somebody who you know who's in the design community. Ask them to watch it and give you critique and feedback. I'm talking about things like, do you look away when you're supposed to be talking? Do you focus on your fingers? Do you fumble or bumble or mumble a lot? Do you say as you're presenting? All of these things are important and they go into successfully presenting your work with confidence, focusing on problems and solutions. Another thing that's gonna set you apart from the crowd is coming into an interview prepared. And that preparation could look like researching the company before you step into that room and already having some ideas on those problems and those solutions, and maybe even being able to talk confidently through the problems of the solutions from the research that you've done. See how this all comes back together. Spend a little bit of time before you step into that interview researching the company, understanding what they do. What are their core beliefs? What's their mission statement? What are their values? What do they hold most dear? What have they accomplished in the last year? What are they trying to accomplish? Do they have a roadmap that you can read? Do they have a website that needs fixing? Do they have broken pieces inside of their application, mobile, web, or desktop? Can you look at that and come up with a few ideas right there that in the interview, if they ask you, you can say, I would love to get my hands on the checkout flow because I've seen some issues there that I think we could solve really, really quickly. Here's how I would solve those things. I think you're doing a great job, but I would love to be a part of that team that solves that problem. Do you see how enticing it is when somebody comes to the table prepared, not just from their previous work, but from the work that they want to do for you as a company? That is so appealing. It's so attractive. You now stand out more than anybody else. The third thing we're going to talk about today that will help you stand out from the crowd in your design interviews is speaking the language of business. That's right, not the language of design and not just the language of problem and solution, but learn how to speak the language of business and you will be all the better for it. Let's define that a little bit. Designing a website or a mobile application is a fantastic goal, but that goal is absolutely useless if it does not serve some sort of business purpose, because otherwise, what are you designing a website for? Just for funsies? Every business wants to hire people that will help increase their value as a company, not make things prettier. And so if you learn the language of business, it's not talking about colors, typography, and all the designy things. It's about talking about the business aspects, leads, traffic, monthly active users, revenue, increased revenue, less friction, better experience for our users that leads to more traffic and sales, increase of revenue. So while you are speaking, hyper focus on value-based metrics. Everything that you talk about should have to do with the value that you can bring using the vehicle of design. You're gonna talk confidently about your work, about problems and solutions. You're gonna have done some research and already have some ideas in your brain about how you might bring some of that value, solve some of those problems. And the value that you bring is not gonna be to make things prettier. It's gonna be some sort of idea on how you can increase traffic or leads or sales or revenue or just help the business out as a whole. Learn how to speak the language of business and you will be a shining star inside your interviews. Well, those are my 3 tips to help you stand out in your design interviews. What tips did I miss? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I do lots of videos about design and development and career prep just like this one. So maybe stick around, hit that little bell notification icon so you know when more videos like this one come out. I hope that you're having an amazing week. I hope you're designing amazing things. Hope you're making amazing things. And I hope you're preparing to stand out from the crowd. I'll see you in the next one.